Good evening and welcome to Wisdom Walk here on Black Hole Radio and my YouTube channel, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. I am your host and guide, Jojapa Maria Nsaroma, and December is the third and final fire month in this mind-blowing mineral year of clarity, confidence, and courage. In many places around the world, 'tis the season to be jolly, to remember our humanity through religious holidays, and participate in the spirit of giving. The year 2020 heralds the beginning of a new decade and era that promises radical and dynamic evidence of human evolution. My theme for this month is preparing for 2020. So to close out 2019 reverently, I invite you to join me for spiritual and emotional healing through 5 personal challenges using the Dagara Medicine Wheel that I wisdom keep. And in this broadcast, I'm going to spill on the challenge to value yourself. Now, for those of you who may be watching or listening in for the first time, let me give you a brief overview of the Wisdom Walk program. It is a personal development resource for your mind, body, and soul. My ministry is any pain that is not transformed will be transferred. So the overall goal of my programs is to guide you and help you recognize and release any and all of the pain that may be blocking your fulfillment in life, or what I like to call having your happy endings in life. Every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, I broadcast live here on Black Hole Radio, unless I'm on hiatus or something unexpected occurs. And if for some reason you are listening to this using your internet and you have a problem with your Wi-Fi connection or your computer, you can access this live broadcast over the phone. And here's that number. It is area code 563-999-3089. Again, 563-999-3089. I will also upload a video of this broadcast on Tuesday to my YouTube channel, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. And although I usually don't have time during this broadcast, you can ask questions or leave comments at my website, which is be showing up at the bottom of the screen right now, and that is www.wisdomwalktoselfmastery.com. And of course, if you are watching this through YouTube, you can make comments or ask questions in the comments box below. But right now, I invite you to sit or lay back and join me for an exploration of the inner landscape, where you can connect to your soul and discover the true treasure of being human. So here we are. Very, very close to Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa. You know, these closing out of the year religious holidays. And really, really getting ready, like I said in my opening, on the precipice of a new decade, a new era. So, of course, I'm going to open up my show by honoring those ancestors. And because tonight I'm going to be talking about valuing yourself, I want to call up ancestors to help us with that challenge. Because in this culture, it definitely is a challenge. Even though it seems like it shouldn't be, but it really can be. So join me and just think about the people that you knew, people who were in your life as adults when you were children, when you were a child. Think about those people who really communicated, demonstrated, and shared a valuing of themselves, of their life. And we're going to call on those people right now because we need them. We need them to show up. You know what? We're also going to call on the ones that you could recognize that didn't value their lives, and they may have, been the alcoholic uncle, or it could have been a chronically unemployed family member, or again, neighbor or someone you knew in your community. But think about that person too, because they obviously, now that they're on the other side, have a lot of good wisdom and guidance for us about the importance of learning to value yourself. So we're going to call on these ancestors right now. Take a deep breath in and breathe it out. And we say, Creator, Mother, Father, God, Source, all the one, all that is. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you for your blessing and mercy in our lives, and for yet another opportunity to call on our ancestors. Ancestors, 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 we are calling out to you today because we are greatly in need of help and support to remember how to value ourselves. We know that some of you did that excellently, and we know that some of you did not do that well at all. But we have learned from both of those types of experiences, and we now call on you and urge you to come and really, really guide us forward to be able to value ourselves. Enable us to get past the illusion of what seems to be success, the illusion of what seems to be love, the illusion of what seems to be righteousness, and enable us to grow and heal and evolve, to step into the truth of what success and love and righteousness truly is. And so our hands are open, our hearts are open, our minds are open to receive your love, your guidance, and your wisdom. And we thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. As well as thanking you, Creator, in the name of all that is holy, for this support in valuing ourselves. And I say, Amen, Ashe Ahoa Sash, and Bismillah, so it is. Ashe. Wow, here we are, here we are. You know, as I said in the two previous broadcasts and YouTubes, December is off the charts in terms of the astronomical events and aspects that are happening that are really such amazing and powerful signs that we are going through a time of change, of great change. So I'm going to start off with the elemental wisdom for this week coming up, and of course then go into some more of this amazing astrological stuff. So because January 1st was a Tuesday, the elemental week begins on a Tuesday, and so this Tuesday the 17th through Monday the 23rd, we are going to be experiencing a fire week. I'm a fire person, so this is like, yeah, okay, look out, here we go, transformation. And the opportunity this week is so about embracing and practicing forgiveness. It's about invoking those ancestors to help you forgo being a martyr to past pain, as you invite the grace of forgiveness to embrace you and remove what was never yours to keep. Yeah. Ask and thank your God for enabling you to receive the grace of forgiveness for those who have hurt you, and for those whom you may have hurt consciously or unconsciously. Prepare an ancestor plate at every meal, light a candle, and feed them with your intention to honor their existence and to receive their guidance, their wisdom, and love. They want you to win and are committed to you not repeating their sorrows. You are their dream come true. They want you to live your happy endings. Wow, this is so, so very true. So, of course, with every opportunity comes a distraction to getting to that opportunity, and here are a few you want to be on the watch out for this fire week. First one is wanting to be right about being a victim. You know, that's where even when you have the opportunity to shift your perspective, get some additional help, or just get help in general, that you find a way to not do it, to resist it, to ignore it. You know, all of that is about wanting to be right about being a victim, wanting to wear that red badge of I've been wounded. Not good. Call on your ancestors and get rid of that badge. Yeah, just move yourself out of the victim posture and move yourself into being a victor in life. That's what we're here to do. Next one is thinking you have to figure things out on your own. Again, you know, we do live in a world where we think that if I don't do it, if I don't figure it out, it'll never get done. And yeah, of course, we all have a unique way of going about things, but none of us are doing anything without some help. Like right now, if it wasn't for those people who work for the electric company, I wouldn't have any light. There would be no video camera, camcorder I'm using right now working. Like the cell phone wouldn't be here. Like none of that would be going on. So, you know, the reality is that we need help. We need help, and we can call out for that very consciously and allow the universe and our God to bring us the support that we need. And again, when you're calling out to the ancestors, those are emissaries to God. They know God speak in a way that we don't. And so they're really good messengers and emissaries between yourself in this physical body and your creator. A third distraction would be judgment and criticism of self and others. Focusing our energy on, oh, why did that person do that? Or why did they do it like that? And they shouldn't be doing that. You know, oh God. I had an opportunity this morning to see myself going there. And I stopped myself. I'm so proud of myself. So proud of myself. And it does take work. It takes conscious work, because I think it's like automatic. We just go there. We just go there. But, you know, when you're doing that, you're not really taking care of your business, you know, all up in somebody else's business. So yeah, be on the lookout for that snap judgment or that criticism of someone else. Remember, everybody's on their journey. Everybody's got to go through what they've got to go through in the way that they need to go through it. And if they're not directly hurting you, where you do need to take some steps to set a boundary or get some help, you know, with that. But otherwise, if it's just something you're hearing about, what somebody did or said or whatever, just let it go. Leave them to heaven, as the old folks would say. And then last but not least, and this is similar to what I just said, it's about taking on the problems of others. Yeah. You know, and sometimes we're doing that but through judgment, but sometimes we're doing it, you know, like, oh, I can help, I can fix that, you know. Not a good use of your time and energy. Now, can you be a support to someone? Yeah, hold space, send some prayers, send some money. You know, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do, but they have to really figure it out. They've got to be the ones who are going to say, I've had enough of this and I'm ready to learn how to let go of being in this kind of a situation or whatever is going on. So just remember that we can't solve the problem of other people. We can just be a support. So don't take other people's problems on. Now, next week on the 24th, Tuesday the 24th, we'll begin a mineral week, which is about remembering purpose, which is exactly aligned with what I will be talking about, yeah, for the next program. So, and again, I'll tell you all about that in the next program. Now let's talk some astrological stuff, just to remember. This week that just passed, it was so powerful for me. I can hardly talk with again, speech all garbled, because for me, I really had a very visceral, physical reaction to this change energy. Apophis, that I want to call it a comet, but they're calling it an asteroid, whatever. That thing that came with all that energy from outer space, from the outer limits. My God, the God of chaos, you know, just pulling, you know, really pulling things up, stirring things up. And I had some physical pain in my body that really waylaid me. And I had no idea where it came from, and still don't, because after 2 days of laying in bed with my heating pad and praying, it left. And during that time, I was talking to the pain and saying, okay, I know you brought me a message. I need to get this. I really need to get this. Let me know, you know. And I did my inner work, you know. And when it left, I felt, I can breathe. I can move around again, you know. But it was deep. It was deep. Because along with that, we also had the full moon in Gemini and Chiron going direct. And all of that came down to, you know, energy that was helping us to get unstuck. So yeah, it was quite a week. So we're in the aftermath of that, you know, still kind of like breathing and moving slowly and saying, yeah, what just happened? What just happened? You know, we're still processing, still catching up. And so today, the planetary aspect is Jupiter trine Uranus. And here's what that means. It means that these two planets are very much in relationship to each other. And that they together in this trine, as they call it, they are bringing up the fact that things are expanding. Yeah, things are expanding. Opportunities are showing up. And there's timing. There's cosmic timing going on. And cosmic timing is different from ours because cosmic timing is the right timing. It overrides whatever we think our timing should be. Yeah, that's what Uranus does. So just know that if you're feeling some expansion energy or some restlessness or some excitement, I did wake up with like this really like excitement energy this morning. At first I thought it was anxiety, but I'm like, no, I'm thinking it's that. And it's like, oh, it's excitement. Yeah. So anticipating, you know, that things are moving forward, things are coming up. And I did this morning have an unexpected experience that was wonderful with this online class that I'm taking, and I got downloaded some really validating information that was really, really cool. Now, the other important, probably the most important thing this week is the fact that we are moving out of the sign of Sagittarius and into the sign of Capricorn with the solstice. Yeah. So the solstice up north, of course, is the winter solstice, and in the southern hemisphere, it is the summer solstice. Right. So here in the northern hemisphere where I am, at 8:19 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is going to be Saturday, the sun will be at its lowest point in the north, and that will be at its highest point in the south. And basically what that means is, you know, the earth spins on an axis, right? And so that axis is slanted toward the sun or away from the sun at the solstice. So here it's away from the sun, and in the south it's closest to the sun. And the 21st gives us then this equal parts day. No, I'm sorry, I'm lying. That's the equinox. Solstice is where day is going to be longer than night, or night is going to be longer than day. So if you're in the winter solstice, of course, this will be the longest night of the year. And if you're in the summer, in the southern hemisphere, in the summer solstice, you're going to get the longest day of the year. Yeah. Now, of course, here in the northern hemisphere, we know that this is the official start of winter that marks a time to slow down, go in, and clean out. Yeah. And for those in the summer, right, this is the marking of the summer. It's a time to go out and experience the results of your hibernation, right? Because they went through spring and now they're in the summer. So again, you know, these are significant seasonal shifting that goes on. And it's significant because our bodies really do respond. They really do respond to what's going on in the cosmos. So again, if you're trying to act like it's still summer when it's winter, it's not going to be a good day. You're going to get some consequences. So honor the seasons, honor what is going on. This is what, ancient people did. Like, they learned and they made sure that they did an honoring of this change in the season. So do something special for yourself on the 21st to honor whatever season you are moving into. That would be really, really good. Now, just to make note, next Sunday we will have Hanukkah in the Jewish faith, and also the Ursid's meteor showers. Yeah, so all these meteor showers coming to Earth, more of that cosmic stuff coming in to tune us up. And it's also what I'm claiming as Earth Day. It's the 22nd. So here's my challenge to you for next Sunday. My challenge is that you go out and hug a tree, thanking it for its agreement to produce oxygen so you can be alive doing your purpose here on this earth. Yeah, really, really important. You can also pause and pray for humanity to evolve and to become better stewards of the earth and its plants and its animals, all the living things, including humans. Yeah. And of course, I'll mention this again next week, but I definitely wanted to put that into your ear today. Go out and hug a tree and say a prayer for the earth. The more people that do that, the better. And then, of course, we'll have Christmas Eve, Christmas, and there's going to be this total solar eclipse, which I'll tell you about, and some of the astrological meaning behind it. Then we have Kwanzaa on the 26th, and I'll share about that for people who may be listening or watching and don't know about Kwanzaa. And then something new I just found out about, another visitor from outer space. This one truly is interstellar, and that means it's coming from another galaxy. And it's called Comet Borisov. It was just discovered in the summer, over the summer, by an amateur astronomer in the Crimean Peninsula in Russia. And yeah, so we're getting a flyby by this comet. Unbelievable. And then, of course, we'll be right up to New Year's Eve. So again, there you have it. More stuff happening in the heavens during this season of, religious holidays. And all in all, is to just, chill out as much as you can. Don't take things too seriously. There's too much change energy going on for that. It's best to be flexible and open and listening for the new in you as well as in others, and to have that expectation. So that we again reverently flow into 2020, which will bring both turmoil and incredible opportunities for dreams to be realized and fulfilled. It's going to be an amazing year. And speaking of 2020, I am going to, in my program tonight, kick off with an overview again about why 2020 is important, why we need to prepare for it. I will then talk about the valuing of yourself through 4 aspects of yourself. Then I'll give you a contemplative spill, it's contemplative questions, and encouragement to do an earth ritual, which is why I'm wearing yellow this week. Yellow is, in the Dagara Medicine Wheel, the medicine color for earth. So here's a quote that I pulled from my book, The Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery, to share with you for this evening's broadcast. I said, Think about this. If you truly believe that you were created from an unknowable greater order and direction, that you have a unique way of being that's different from everyone else because you have an important purpose to do in life, would you treat yourself like there's something wrong with you? Would you let others treat you like there's something wrong with you? Yeah. Think about that, right? So 2020, the importance of it. And again, this is from an astrologer named Greg Crawford, who I love how he just encapsulated this notion of 2020 being the beginning of not only a decade, he says, but a new astrological era. To me, a new human era. As with any birthing process, he says the year will involve enduring labor pains in order to introduce a new life. And then he says so beautifully, the year 2020 is a threshold to cross, a pause between the way it has been and the way it will be, necessitating a confrontation with all the difficult challenges in need of a remedy within civilization. He says there's nothing easy about the transits of 2020, but it gives the opportunity to help you cultivate new levels of inner strength as well as new skills to share with others. You know, 2020 has us being in a position where we have to accept the end of fear-centered, ecology-destroying industrial age and its related institutionalized beliefs that uphold human injustice. And so our theme is about creating a better world. Let's go create a better world. We really need to prepare for a whole different way of being in this world. We need to prepare for choosing love over fear. To do this, we have to connect with our souls on a daily basis. And to be able to get to that is what my work is essentially about. You know, taking on the healing of pain, you have to be connected to your soul. And so there are many, many, many ways to do that. Definitely talking about it helps. That's a good opening. You know, I also want to emphasize, before I dive into these 4 aspects of valuing yourself, what to me this overall piece of valuing ourselves really is associated with, we really, really, really as humans have knowledge, information, materials, and experiences that tell us that we are living in a very, very different world than we were even 40 years ago. Yeah. And, you know, things have really, really accelerated. But we're definitely living in a different world than we were 120 years ago, like in the 1880s. You know, we've grown so much and so fast from that time. And so, you know, there are things in the 1880s that I would have to do during the day in order to be able to survive that I just don't have to do now. You know, like one would be going out to the well to get water and hoping that the well was still working, you know, that the pump didn't freeze up or whatever, you know. And that was a real thing for the majority of people in that time. And so I use that as an analogy just to say that, you know, still trying to go out and pump water today isn't going to work, because especially if you're in a metropolitan area, there's not even a system set up where you could access the water in that way, right? It's like it no longer exists. And so if we're still trying to do things that just really no longer exist, no longer work, we're going against, the opportunity of the new that is trying to come into our existence. And the new is out there, but you gotta let go of thinking you gotta go pump the well. You can just turn on the faucet. In most places around the world, unless you're still, living in an indigenous situation, or you're off the grid and that's just your choice. But I'm saying that, for most of humanity, it's really different. And yes, there are definitely people right now in horrible living conditions because of war, because they are refugees coming out of a totalitarian state or an oppressive government. And yeah, these people do not have that luxury. These people definitely are like trying to find water out of a stream even. But I'm talking about, for the majority of people in the world, this is where we're at. And, for those folks, this is what they're moving to, right? They want to get out of the situation they're in. That's why they're refugees. They're trying to get to, the newer world, trying to get to something more. So I say all of that to realize that, one of the important ways to do that, to be with this evolutionary energy, is to consciously grow our consciousness, to grow our minds, to grow our awareness and our ability of the truth of who we really are. And so valuing ourselves becomes a really important conscious awareness step to take, to really make sure that we are treating ourselves with reverence, with respect, with a belief that I am supposed to be here. I'm a human being. I'm part of a greater order and direction. I wasn't just plopped down for no reason. There's something inside of me that speaks to me about something I need to be and something I need to do. And it's real. And I need to take care of me so that I can share what I have inside, So in essence, that's what the valuing of ourselves is really about. So for those of you who are listening and watching, I just want to commend you, because clearly you're on that path. You're committed to growing your consciousness, to growing your mind, and to learning, how to really step into the more that is in existence, that's waiting for us to discover, to be a part of, and to share. So let's talk about this valuing of yourself. What do I mean when I say value yourself? Is it about how much money you make? Like, what's going on with this valuing? Well, that is a part of it, but it's not the only part of it when we talk about valuing ourselves. In Western culture, everything breaks down into economics, right? That's where we go first, because we really still are in a 3D mentality. But it's more than that. And when I originally set this up to talk about, I titled it Value Yourself and Others. But I took the others off. And the reason I did that is I realized, wait a minute, if you don't value yourself, you can't value others. But if you do value yourself, you automatically value others. That's like how it works. So let me just focus on valuing self first, and then you naturally have the ability to value others. That's why people who aren't able or willing to be courteous and kind and gentle and loving to other people, that is an expression that they don't like themselves. They don't value themselves. Because when you value yourselves, you just don't do that. And I don't usually make political references directly, but I got to make this one. And that's about President Trump, Donald Trump, and his Twitter remarks about Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old climate activist, very successful climate activist, because not too many people get into the UN and talk to the National Assembly, the UN Assembly, right? Yeah, she's a really powerful chick. But, you know, to make remarks like that, it's just not appropriate, not necessary, except when you're not valuing yourself, when you don't like yourself. Yeah. So the first valuing of ourselves does have to do with material and survival needs. When we value ourselves at this level of our aspect, we have our basic needs taken care of. We're satisfied with our living conditions and our situation. We have enough food, enough clothing, enough shelter, enough money. We are able to go forth on a daily basis, you know, do things that we need to do without feeling like, you know, we're going to fall apart, you know. So we're able to just feel really like, yeah, I got that. I'm good. I got my foundation. I am taken care of. I'm taken care of. When that's happening, that is definitely you valuing that aspect of yourself, that aspect that needs to have its basic needs met. Okay. So the next aspect of yourself is mental. It's your mind, it's your brain. Do you know that human beings have the brain that has the ability to consider things, to think critically? No other species on this planet has that ability. Yeah. So that mental aspect of yourself, valuing that means that you embrace lifelong learning, that you are curious and that you want to learn things about yourself, about others, about the world around you. It's having the ability to take the right risks to experience new things in life, and you share your knowledge and wisdom in loving ways to make the world a better place. Yeah. So your mental ability, you know, you're taking care of that, you're feeding that, you're nurturing that. Yeah. And that's when you're valuing yourself in that aspect. Now, next is emotional. Emotional sometimes is put together with mental, but I wanted to break it apart because I think the emotional piece, you know, isn't about thinking, it's about feeling. And it's about being willing to feel your emotions, meaning you're not out there sedating them, ignoring them, that you express your feelings without transferring your pain onto others. It's that you choose to transform negative emotions into positive ones. Being valuing your emotional self means that you regularly ask for and receive help to maintain or recover your emotional balance. So it means that, you know, you're working on it, yeah. And definitely, of course, it means you have emotional intelligence because you're valuing those emotions. The fourth aspect of yourself to value is your spiritual self. Yeah. That invisible part of yourself, the domain of your soul. So when we are valuing ourselves spiritually, we believe that we are connected to an unknowable greater order and direction, and that we exist for a purpose beyond our survival. When we are spiritually valuing ourselves, we ask for and receive everything we need to be aligned with our higher purpose. We have faith that the universe is always, always working on our behalf. Yeah. Yeah. So, as you can see, there are ways that we can notice how we're valuing ourselves. That goes beyond how much money do I have in my pocket, or how much did I get paid for that consultant job that I just did, or how much am I making, my lifetime, It really goes beyond that. And I see it in levels, so there's a survival piece, and then we grow into, I can think, I can be critical, do critical thinking, meaning I can solve things, I can solve problems, take care of myself. And then it goes up to that emotional level where I have to be aware of my emotions and how I deal with my emotions. Making sure, again, that I'm not transferring my pain, that I transform it. And then that spiritual level, that I have a relationship to something beyond my knowing, that I accept that I really am here for a purpose. I'm not just here to be a victim to life, or binge on Disney Plus. Yeah, I'm not here just for that, right? So, it's Christmas time, and, I love talking Christmas stories. Or maybe you didn't know that, but I do. I love talking Christmas stories. And of course, I love talking about Ebenezer Scrooge and the Christmas Carol. And he's just a great example of, somebody who was wealthy. Scrooge had a lot of money, because back in those times when, they show in the movie, I like the version, I think it's 1956, either 56 or 59, from England. And it's called Scrooge. I think it's just called Scrooge, I think. Is Scrooge or a Christmas Carol? I can never remember. But anyway, it's a black and white version, but oh my God, it's such the best version. And they show his office, and in his office he has this little, he's got a couple of vaults probably, but he's got this little vault that he brings out to pay, Bob Cratchit. And you can see that he's got these several shelves filled up with, all this money, all these gold coins, So the boy loaded. He is loaded, right? But despite the valuing of the money, he clearly does not value himself, because he's mentally depressed, because he's just like, he's Scrooge, right? Like in our culture understands that when you say somebody's like a Scrooge, right? So he's mentally depressed, devoid of any emotional or spiritual intelligence or mastery, right? And what does it take to turn him around? Well, then ghosts come, and he gets some healing from his childhood wounds, which he had dealt with, right? And he also gets to remember purpose, because he really gets touched by Tiny Tim. And it's also the fear of death that turns him around. That's what it takes to turn Scrooge around. But again, just a great example of, again, how we can have a lot of material wealth, but still not be wealthy. Still not valuing life. He didn't value life. He hated his life. He hated his life, So that's just something important to remember, because I think in modern Western culture, which is quickly spreading around the globe, it's very easy to think that once you have your money, everything's going to be okay. But if you're not taking care of the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of yourself, it's not going to be okay. Another story I love comes from the New Testament, and it's a Jesus story. I also love Jesus stories. Oh my God, I love Jesus stories. And this one is about a woman who has an issue. It says that she was issues, like sores all over her body, something was going on, but she had issues. I always think no, she had issues, right? And she hears about the fact that this rabbi, which Yeshua was coming to their town. And she decides that she needs to go and try to get some healing. because he's done some miraculous stuff. Woke folks up from the dead, and he's done walked on water and fed people with just a loaf of bread and fish. He done all these miracles. And so she's like, yeah, I need some of that. And so she goes down into what would be kind of like the town center. And she sees all this big crowd around him, because Jesus got popular. At first people thought he was crazy, but then they see, he raised the dead and stuff. Then they'd be like, oh yeah, that boy got something going on. We need to check this out, right? So now he's like a rock star. He comes into town, everybody's looking at him. And so she's there and she's looking at this big crowd, and she's just like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get my healing? How can I get close to him? And then she thinks about it, and she's like, but you know what? He's so powerful. I bet you if I could just touch the hem of his robe, I'm going to get something. Because that's the state she was in. She was like, she had so many issues. She was like, I need something. I don't need to try and figure out what it is. I just need to try and get it. She's like, it ain't rational. I don't care. I just need something, right? And so she worms her way through the crowd, excuse me, pushing people to the side, right? Jesus come walking by, and she puts her hand out and she touches the hem of his robe, and Jesus stops. And he looks around and he says, who touched me? Now his disciples, they know Jesus be crazy, because you can't be doing that kind of healing all the time and just be okay. He'd be falling out sometimes after he finished the healing stuff, because it's a lot of work. So they're like, Jesus, what you talking about, man? And all these people are around you. What do you mean, who touched you? What you talking about? He said, who touched me? Jesus was adamant, who touched me, And so the woman, she pops out and she speaks up and she said, I'm so sorry, Rabbi. It was me. And because she thought he was angry at her. But he looks at her and he says, go home. You are healed. And he turns to his rabbis, his boys, and he says to them, see, oh ye of little faith, you need to get this. See what she done did? That's what we mean. That's what I mean when I talk about faith, And it really is also in that story, not just about faith in that way, but it's about her valuing herself enough to believe that she could get something just by touching the hem of the robe. That she didn't even need to talk to him. She didn't need to get something, And that's another form of valuing ourselves. When we really say, I need this. I need help. I need a home. I need a job. I need a relationship. I need love. I need a baby. Whatever. And you're willing to take the right risk to get access to what it is that you need. Yeah. Valuing yourself. That's what it's about. Yeah. So here are some contemplative questions for you in preparation for the earth ritual. And it'll be similar to the fire and water ritual that I gave you to do, except this time you'll be working with the earth element. So question 1, in which aspects of your existence, so that would be, material, survival, mental, emotional, spiritual, which of those aspects are you not valuing yourself? Yeah, think about that. Number 2, how are you not valuing yourself in those aspects? How are you not? And as Marianne Williamson writes in her wonderful book, what's it called? It's about food and how to lose weight in 21 days, but it's so great the way she words it. Anyway, but in there she has an exercise and she says, don't go conscious, don't go unconscious, write it all out. So the same thing with that. Really think about how am I not valuing myself? Materially, survival, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How am I not valuing myself? And then the last one, number 3, what needs to change or shift so that you are able to value yourself? Now we do some problem solving. And as Marianne says, don't go unconscious. Write it all out. Yes, what needs to change? So here's the earth ritual. And again, it's a spiritual practice for transforming pain using the earth element. You are going to write out on a piece of paper your answers to those contemplative questions I just shared. Then you're going to roll up that paper and tie it with a beautiful ribbon or string and place it overnight on your ancestor altar, which is red cloth, red candle, some pictures or items belonging to your ancestors. And you're going to ask your ancestor to help guide you through the experience of valuing yourself, learning to value yourself even more. The next day, you're going to plant your paper in a sacred manner into some dirt or some earth at your earliest convenience. Now, if you live around concrete, you can use a plant holder. Get some dirt and just put that piece of paper right in there. If you got a plant in the house that you think the paper won't kill, you could put it in there if it's got enough room for it. Or you can get out to a park and place it by a wooded area. And if you find a tree that's got a little bit of hollow in it, a little hollow place for the squirrels hide their nuts, and put your paper in there. But if you do that, make sure it ain't going to bother the squirrels. They'll use it for bedding anyway. They like that. They'll, make it into little strips and make their little bed and make their cushion. So they should be okay. And most importantly, remember to call on your God, your angels, your spirit guides, and of course the ancestors to guide you safely through the process. And you will notice a shift within 3 days to a week in regards to valuing yourself. Now, I also advise you to get access to my book. There it is over here, pointing to it. For those of you on the radio who can't see, I'm pointing to the book. Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. It is available on Amazon, and it is also in Kindle version. You can get it through Barnes & Nobles and other booksellers. I even found it at Walmart, a little cheaper than on Amazon. And it's chapter 18 in my book that takes you through an earth ritual, gives you some more details and support for that process. I also have linked up, I give you a link to my website where you can also find some meditation to do before you do the ritual. And I also give you a good validation and cheering after you have completed the ritual. Those videos are available at my website. Also, just a reminder that the personal challenge will be listed in the YouTube box below this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that you can get all my notifications. And I thank you so much for that. Well, we have come to the conclusion of this week's information to help raise your consciousness, to help prepare you for 2020, and in regards to value yourself. We started off, of course, with forgiveness, went into making peace with the past. Now we did valuing yourself. Next week it will be about remember purpose. So I want to close by, first of all, thanking my wonderful engineer, Miss Yvette Parker, and to the entire Black Hole family and Black Hole Radio. Thank you for continuing to do what you do to make sure my platform and my broadcast goes out every week. Because I'm really clear, I'm in covenant with my God to make sure that I am helping and encouraging people to evolve themselves in a loving and healing way. I also want to shout out to all my regular listeners out there, and to Miss Sarah, my #1 fan, whose motto is never, never, never give up. And at 95, she ain't giving up, let me tell you. And to all of those who have wisdom walked with me, and you know who you are, to my family, my spiritual kin, my transformational leadership colleagues, and my medicine brothers and sisters around the globe, like Asu and Ina, and also my new colleagues, like my wonderful friend Magella Green in London. Love you, sis. And you Londoners, hang on there. You're going through this for a reason, but there's a new day coming. There's a new day coming. Hang in there. And again, those of you may be listening in for the first time, thank you. I couldn't do this without your listenership, your watching, and your support. Again, next week, continuing with preparing for 2020, I'll be talking about remember purpose. That will be associated with the mineral. And my Facebook page is Wisdom Walk Radio. My website again is Wisdom Walk to Self Mastery. My YouTube channel is Wisdom Walk to Self Mastery. And last but not least, I want to thank my God, my ancestors, my spirit guides, my loving entities, everything that walks with me, keeps my head to the sky, my feet to the ground, and my heart open to do this important work with and for all of you. Have a fantastic fire week full of calling on those ancestors, yes, and involving them in your forgiveness work and keeping yourself moving forward. And most importantly, please remember, you are not disposable. You are divine. Good night now.